The server application, the server can run on any Linux or Windows server in the cloud or on-premise. What we need is just, in case of Linux, an 18.04 Ubuntu version with 4 or 8 giga memory with something like 50, 60 or 100 gigabyte storage, preferred SSD, of course. And the server can run under your management on your infrastructure, or you can just use a VPS for that. What we're going to install is just a Docker environment. So whatever server that can run a Docker environment is good for us. And this is also valid for an on-premise installation. We can install our system on the infrastructure of the end customers, of your end customers, but of course in this case it has a server cost plus the application or client costs. The server can be white labeled, which means that on our user interface you can replace all the graphical elements, the color codes, etc., and it can run on your domain. So, for example, signage.yourdomain.com or whatever domain it can run. The server itself communicates with third-party systems. First of all, to our licensing server, of course, but the server itself will communicate with O365 or Google if it is needed. So if your customer needs to be connected to their OneDrive or to their Google Drive, the server will authenticate itself and collect the information, copy the files to the server and deliver it to the customers. It's a multi-tenant environment, which means that within the same server you can have multiple customers as much as you wish, and it's a multi-language environment. So currently we have something like 14 different language translations. To create a local language translation takes only about 1 day of translating all the sentences and words. We provide a translation tool for our partners. So, for example, if you need a Chinese translation, it can be done within 1 day with the knowledge of the system, just to be able to precisely translate it to a local language. Multi-tenant systems, so the customers are not seeing each other's settings. The designer person logs into the server and can manage only their contents and their devices, and per user you can define that what can they do within the system. If they there are different roles, and user by user you can also hide and show things from the system. So you can make it very simply, or you can provide all the features to the customer or to the editor user. The server is API driven, so you can connect a third-party server to the wallboard server, and that third-party server can control what needs to be displayed on the screens, or can get notification when a screen goes offline or when someone logs in. It can be done on API level, and also our server provides a lot of webhooks, and there are that when a customer calls, then we can send back a notification to the device to do something. So without deep level of programming, they can achieve a solution like, for example, a person presses a button on the mobile phone, it sends a webhook notification to the server end, or server sends down a notification to a particular device or more devices to change the content on the screen. The server is also database connected, so on the server you can set up that how often and what endpoint from check a data source. It loads the data, which can be a JSON, XML, ICAL data format, and it will provide it to the local devices. So if you have price information or stock information, then we can, for example, check the data source every 2 minutes, and when there is a change in the data source, we notify all the devices to change the content or just one tag or one element of the content. Yeah, that's all. I talked about the white labeling, the server setup. Yeah, I can mention that the server can be installed in the cloud. It can be installed on the on-premise at the customers, and there is a hybrid mode when the server is installed in the cloud, and if the customer has, I don't know, 100 devices at a local office or some location, then you can have a DMS, a device manager server, that communicates on one communication channel with the central server and provides the downloaded information to all the local devices. So if you have 100 devices at a location and there is a new 400 megabytes video that needs to be displayed on all the devices, then not all the 100 devices will download the 400 megabyte video, but that DMS will download it once, and then it will provide the video to all the devices on the local infrastructure.